Good morning, Tony Datino. We are to December 15th, and we are getting 10 days away from Christmas. And the days are just going by so quickly as I look at the calendar and thinking that in 10 days it'll be Christmas and another year that goes by as we then approach New Year's. And as I am reading now the January issue of the Healthy Aging put out by the School of Medicine at the Mount Sinai, I come across an article that I've talked so much about, not an article, I've talked about the importance and the benefits of walking and exercise. And what the big news is for the current year is that the exercise doesn't need to be vigorous. You do not need to be training for a marathon, or you do not need to be training for a weightlifting competition, and that there are minor activities that you can do to, relatively speaking, that have significant benefits in how we go about our day-to-day lives, and put something as simple as walking into our day's curriculum and get benefits from something as simple as that. So it says there's additional studies, and the studies keep coming out. They just keep coming out, trying to encourage people how to extend their mental fitness, their cognitive well-being. And memory and Alzheimer's and cognitive impairment are certainly things that are concerning people, especially as you get older. But what I'm finding is it's also concerning the family members for those that take care of the people that are getting older, that are demonstrating some of these symptoms and signs of it. So here we go. Walking is a favorite exercise. It's something you can do at your own pace. Again, you don't have to be a marathon runner. You don't have to run, 60-yard dashes. But you can do it at your own pace. It boosts your cardiovascular and your bone strength, and it's free. You can walk out almost anywhere. There are parks all over, community groups and things, streets and sidewalks, shopping areas. I mean, there are just so many. There's no reason why you can't walk somewhere. Research keeps coming up with the goods when it comes to providing evidence that regular walking benefits brain power at any age. So, my goodness, you don't have to wait till you're old in order for walking to take place and get the benefits of it. A team led by the University of Maryland, so this comes out of Maryland now, you can even reap substantial rewards if you were previously sedentary. So if you were previously a couch potato, there are major benefits, even if you have a degree of cognitive decline. So, wow, even if you started to feel that there was some degradation taking place, my goodness, there are substantial benefits that were done. A study was done with people who were sedentary, and now sedentary was defined as having engaged in moderate intensity exercise on less than 3 days per week during 6 months. So basically, if you were just not very active during a 6-month period of time and you weren't engaged in activity for more than 3 days, then you were sedentary. So what they did, they put them through brain functions, and some of those that had been diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. Impairment is defined as a slight but noticeable decline in mental abilities like memory, reasoning, and judgment, and may be the precursor for Alzheimer's, which is obviously a concern that lots of people have, a growing concern. But here's what was interesting in terms of their study. Before the exercise intervention, the participants were asked to read a short story and then repeat it, recalling as many details as possible. So now I'm going to give you a story to read. So I'm going to give you something to read, right? We're going to read something, and then I'm going to ask you to recall it. But now after that, we're going to say, okay, let's see how well you do on the recall. They went underneath functional magnetic resonance imaging, that's fMRIs, a technique that tracks the changes in blood flow to the areas in the brain. Increases in blood flow indicate which parts of the brain are handling functions at one time. So what they do is they show you pictures of your fMRI, and it's able to see what parts of your brain are being activated and lighting up as they look at this imaging technique. The technology we have today is just mind-blowing in terms of what we've had from it now and what we have in the past. The researchers measured changes in the communication within and between the three brain networks that control cognitive function. Now, this is pretty darn important. Now they've zeroed this in on what are the brain networks that control your mental capacity, your mental thinking, your cognitive function. And again, it's DMN and FB. They give you some initials and things, and they explain to you what these things do. The one I found fascinating was what they call default mode network. So your default mode network, you don't need to remember that. But this is the network that connects to the hippocampus, which is where your memories are stored. A region of the brain, the hippocampus, the region that plays a major role in long-term memory formation and memory retrieval. The hippocampus is one of the first brain regions to be affected by Alzheimer's, and where amyloid beta, the abnormal protein, shows up in tests. So now they want to, wow. So we went and we looked at this area that has these activities that go and engage, and they put them through a 12-week exercise intervention with supervised walking for 30 minutes walking, 4 days a week. At the end of the intervention, so this intervention was a 12-week period of time, so it's about 3 months, to go out and start walking for 30 minutes. You're going to do it 4 days a week. I'm sure we can all find 30 minutes, 4 days a week to go out and walk somewhere. At the end of the intervention, the researchers repeated the test of the reading or the assignments, and they saw significant improvements in the participants' story recall abilities. So now we gave you the story. We give you a story. We ask you to recall a different story, obviously. And your story recall abilities show marked improvement. The fMRIs reveal stronger activities in the DMN. Remember the DMN? The network connected to the hippocampus and the region responsible for long-term memory and memory retrieval. So it showed marked improvement in those areas, and the stronger connections between the brain networks, suggesting that exercise improved the brain's ability to adapt. The study is promising, though the doctor in charge of it would like to see the results implicated in more diverse sample sizes. Dr. Gandhi has long supported physical activity as a method of maintaining brain function. It's the one intervention for which we have the strongest evidence of benefits possibly preventing cognitive decline. He also had exercise also prevents cardiovascular risk factors that also have impacts to cognitive impairment, and watching high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, and leading to strokes. But what's great about Dr. Gandhi's research here is he also goes beyond, if you aren't used to exercise, check with your doctor. I think that goes without saying. But starting slow with an aim of gradually increasing speed and duration, so start with 5 minutes. Just start with 5 minutes. We all have trackers today. Our phones will even track for us. But he encourages adults to follow other strategies that may have cognitive benefits, such as, here we go again, right? The 6 key factors of brain health that we write about. Healthy diets, social interaction. Oh my God, how many times have I been talking about social interaction? Learning new skills like playing a musical instrument or learning a new language. Learning anything that is, you've got to be interested in it though. The important thing is it's got to show interest. So here we go again, right, from the elements of another study being done, talking about healthy aging. Healthy aging, let's give the appropriate credit to this. Let me make sure you do this. It's the School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, talking about the brain networks that benefit from walking. And the science goes on. And what is it that we need to get people to do to realize that this is important to us for all ages? Kids that exercise right during COVID was a big deal. Kids were restricted from playing in playgrounds and exercising. What did we see happen with kids? The rates of anxiety and depression and teen suicides. Get off the couch. Give up one of your programs for 10 minutes and get yourself out. Even if you're walking in your house. And if you got steps in your house, boy, that's even wonderful. But again, the doc is really sharing with everybody. It's important that you're in physical health and you're able to do this. And it doesn't hurt to check with your doctors at times and say, hey, doc, how's my blood pressure? How's my heart? How am I doing? I want to start a program because I want to maintain my mental fitness. And it's off for the weekend. So, bam, we're off to go see some Christmas trees tonight here in Claremont, Florida. Got a little forest. I put some Christmas trees in. We're going to go see if we can see what some Christmas trees look like that are all decorated for the holiday. Have a nice weekend, and may the Giants beat New Orleans. Keep their winning streak going. And we'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.